Hello students, welcome to the lectures on microcontroller and embedded systems. We were discussing about the fifth module, that is real-time operating system. In the previous video, I explained about basics of operating system, then about the functions of the operating system, kernel of the operating system, architecture, then different services provided by the operating system. We also looked at different types of operating systems. Now, in this video, we'll be discussing about tasks, process and threads. So first question will be, what is task? A task is defined as the program in execution and related information for program. What it means? A task is any program which is under execution. A program written is not a task, but if it is under execution, then only it is named as a task. It can also be named as job. Next is process. So process is a program in execution, same as that of task, but a process can be a part of a program which is under execution. So what we can conclude from this? A task is same as that of a process and job is also same as that of a process. So what we can say is task, job and process refer to the same. Now we discuss about process, maybe the task or a job, right? So process leads to parallel execution of the tasks. That what is the parallel execution? Processes can execute parallelly, isn't it? This parallel execution is achieved by sharing CPU among processes. Thus, efficient utilization of the CPU and other resources can be achieved. A process can be considered as virtual processor. Why it can be considered as virtual processor? Because the structure which is shown here, you can look at the structure. It holds a set of registers, processor status, program counter, stack, everything. You can look at. It is little bit difficult for you fellows. You just can look at. Process is having stack. It's having the own working registers. It is having status registers. It is having program counter. Hence, process acts as a virtual processor. And when this process is executing, all these registers, PC, everything are mapped to physical registers of the CPU. The memory of the process is divided into three regions. You can look at in the next slide it is. See, the memory of the process is divided into three regions. What all the three regions are? You can look at in the diagram. It is stack memory, data memory and code memory, right? So data memory, what it will be holding? Already I explained you about the microprocessor, or in computer organization we looked at the different segments of the microprocessor, or in computer organization we looked at how memory is divided into different segments, right? There we have data segment, code segment, stack segment and one more is extra segment, right? So data segment which will be holding data, code segment is used for holding program, right? So in the same manner here also the data memory holds all data for the process. Code memory, it contains the program, that is the code of the process. And memory, that is stack memory, contains a temporary data which is used by the process during its execution. This process is having different states. You just can look at here. You can look at it's having different states. The first oval is having created. Next it's written as ready. Next is running, maybe blocked, then completed. All these are the different states. I can name 5 states, right? So you can see all these states and you are having state transition also. This diagram is nothing but state transition diagram, right? Created state. What is created? Created is a state of a process, right? So what is this then? The state at which process is created but no resources are yet allocated to it. Only the process is now created. Fine. That is created state. Then comes ready state. So already the process is created and if all the resources are allocated to it, before allocating the processor to it, all different resources what all are necessary, such as memory, maybe some input devices, different types of resources which are necessary for a process to get executed, all are available with it, but not yet processor is given. So this ready state process will be waiting for the processor so that it gets executed. So this process is ready to be executed. Then comes running state. The process under execution is running state. What it means? The process have got all the resources and processor is now executing this process. The process which is currently under execution is told to be under running state, right? Now what happens? The process is running and maybe assume something it wants. So assume an interrupt has occurred, or maybe it may be waiting for some resources which are shared with other process. Then it will move to a state where it can't run, right? That state is nothing but blocked state. So blocked state means what? The running process is temporarily suspended from execution because processor may be in need of any input or output operation or waiting for standard resources like semaphore, etc. Then all that time the process is executing gets moved to blocked state. Okay. Now the process will be in blocked state. After its execution, it can move back to ready state, right? Then afterwards it can come to running state. So then is completed state. When process execution is over, then it moves to completed state. You can see the transition diagram. First process is created, isn't it? When it is allocated memory or other resources which are necessary, then it moves to ready state. When the scheduler takes this ready state process for execution from the queue, if its turn comes, then it starts executing. So it moves to running state. If it completes execution without any interrupt and all, then it moves to completed state. Else, if it is waiting for any of the input output, then process moves from running state to blocked state. Or if the running process is interrupted, then it gets preempted and moves from ready state to blocked state. If a blocked process gets its input output done, or if the interrupt service is over and pre-assumption is done, then again it moves to where? It moves back to ready. It will not move directly to the running, it moves to ready. Okay. From ready, it can again move to running state when its turn come again from the queue. Then after running, it comes to the last state called as completed state. So this is all about process, states and state transitions. Process here may be same for task and it is same for the job also, right? Next, we have to look at what thread is. What we discussed, task we discussed, process we discussed, then is the turn comes for thread, right? It is named as lightweight process. Okay, what is it? It is named as a lightweight process. Many threads of a process share data memory, code and stack memory. What it means? A process will be having many threads. A thread is only one thread, may be a process. Many threads in combination can be one process, right? So many threads of a process will be sharing data memory, code memory and stack memory, but on not separate, right? Means each of the thread will not have separate data memory, code memory and stack memory, but a process will be having them and all the threads within that process will be sharing them, right? So that's why it is lightweight process. Using this thread concept, we can have multi-threading. So now multi-threading can be achieved and this multi-threading can lead to different advantages. Multiple threads share the code, data and stack memory. So utilization of memory is also best. It reduces the complexity. What reduces? Multi-threading reduces the complexity. Okay. Process is made of many threads. If one thread enters wait state, the other thread still can execute. So CPU utilization is better. But if it is not, if the process is not divided into threads, utilization of CPU can be poor because if one of the process gets under wait state, so multiprocessing cannot be done or multi-threading cannot be obtained, by which CPU utilization can be not so good, right? So by multi-threading, what can happen? CPU utilization can also be better, and hence utilization will be efficient and it speeds up the execution. So multi-threading is more advantageous. Now let's look at what is multiprocessing and multitasking. Mean the things, multiprocessing, and what is the next? Multitasking. Okay, what is multiprocessing? It is the ability to execute multiple processes simultaneously. Multiprocessor execute multiple processes. Parallelly, the multiple processes will be executed by multiple processors. Different processors are there, many processors are there, and each one of them are executing the processes, but all at the same time, that is parallelly, right? Then what is multitasking? It is the ability of the OS to hold multiple processes in memory and switch CPU from execution of one to another process. Multitasking involves context switching because it is switching from one process to another process. It needs what all things are involved. Context switching is there, context saving is there, and context retrieval is also present. What is context switching? It means execution switches from one task to other. While switching from one task to other, the older task whichever is under execution, when the processor wants to move to other task, the old task current context has to be saved. That is nothing but context saving, right? Then when it switches to the other second task, again it has to come back to the old task, and that is, while coming back to the old task, it retrieves the saved context. That's why it is named as context retrieval. So all of these will be present. Multitasking involves context switching, context saving, and context retrieval, right? So we have different types of multitasking. You can look at in the slide, you can look at types of multitasking. One is cooperative multitasking, preemptive multitasking, and non-preemptive multitasking, right? So moving to cooperative multitasking. Here, tasks or process gets a chance to execute only when currently executing process relinquishes the CPU for some time. If a process which is currently under execution, if it releases the CPU for some time, then only the other process or task can take a chance to execute. Here, tasks are merely for each other. Okay, mercy for each other. Tasks will be mercy for each other to get the CPU. So this is cooperative. Why it is cooperative? Because they are mercy for each other, right? Preemptive multitasking. Here, preemptive scheduling is used. What type of scheduling? Preemptive scheduling. You may have heard this preemption in OS, right? Where time slots or priority wise preempting of the tasks will be done. That is, if a process A is under execution and if time slots for A is over, then it gets preempted until all other tasks in the queue get executed for the stipulated time for each of the tasks. Means what? All the processes which are ready and enter the ready queue will be waiting for execution, and each of the processes will be allotted with the timings. Depending on the time, the execution will be allotted. That means first process will be given, for example, assume it will be executing for some amount of time, n nanoseconds. After n nanoseconds, even though the process has not yet completed its execution, it will be given, the CPU will be given to the second task. Again it will be executed for n nanoseconds likewise. Okay, so the preemption of the tasks will be done. Okay, then what else? If process A is executing and if other process, say process B, which is having high priority comes, means what? Depending on priority, if the preemption is done, priority will be given. If assume A, B and C, A is having highest priority, B is having less, C is having even less. If B is under execution, okay, currently B is under execution. If C comes which is of low priority, preemption of B will not be done. Okay, B starts and it continues to execute. If process A, which is of high priority, if it comes, okay, if it interrupts, then what happens? preemption of process B will be done and time slot will be given to A, right? So this is all about preemptive multitasking. Next is what? Non-preemptive multitasking. Here, any task or process in execution is allowed, non-preemptive multitasking. So, any task in execution is allowed to execute for any time until it terminates or until it enters wait state. Only difference of cooperative and this non-preemptive is, in cooperative, the executing process may not relinquish CPU when moves to wait state. But in non-preemptive, what happens? Process, if it is in execution and if it relinquishes, it has to relinquish the CPU when it enters the wait state. Means whenever a process is in execution, if it moves to the wait state or blocked state, then in non-preemptive, it has to relinquish the CPU. But what happens in cooperative? It may or may not relinquish the CPU. So other process may or may not get the chance in cooperative, but in non-preemptive, what happens? Whenever a process which is under execution moves to blocked state, chance will be given to the next waiting process. So this is all about tasks, process and threads. In the next video, we'll be discussing about task communication. Okay. Thank you.